I'm General Shane Padden with the Union Army of the West in the 69th New York Irish Brigade. Here in beautiful Southern California, Costa Mesa, and a beautiful day. You can't beat this for wearing the wool, nice breeze. And we're here for a living history event, Civil War battle reenactment. You probably ask, why would you do something like this? We do it in order to educate the public. I mean, it's a digital age. You can get books, you can get all your stuff online, YouTube, great thing. However, to actually come out for the public and the people to have all five senses touched and stimulated really drives the point home what we do. You can hear the drums, you can smell the horses, you can smell me after a long weekend of camping out, sleeping in the tents, eating food over an open fire. You really can't beat that. And to see the men out on the field maneuvering and operating as they would have back in the 1860s is a sight to behold, and actually brings written words and things that you see on a computer screen or on your phone to life. And without that, history is really starting to become a lost art, if you will. It's key to who we are as Americans, as humans on this planet, and how we interact together. This is probably the most studied battle in the world. We have reenacted with people from Australia. We go back east to do events. We've had people from Europe come to these events. It's a total global effort, and it's all of our history, and it's key that we keep it going, and that's why we do this.
Private Patrick Christie of the 69th New York State Volunteers, and I am one of the women soldiers as part of the Union Army. There are women that fought in the American Civil War on both the North and the South. We know that there are at least 300 documented cases of women soldiers who served dressed as men, and women served for the very same reasons that men served. So they believed in the cause, they wanted to make money, they wanted to get out of the homes that they were in, many of the same reasons that men fought for. And there, as I said, there were over 300 documented cases of women who dressed as men, enlisted, and in the 1860s, the kind of physical that was done for soldiers to enter the Army were very basic, not like what we have now. So it was easy for a woman who had grown up on a farm, who was strong and physically capable, to pass the physical. All she needed were some front teeth and a finger and a thumb to be able to tear the paper cartridge. So there are a number of stories about women that served successfully without being caught. There was one woman who served as bravely as any man and actually lived as a man after the war. And when she was in her 60s, she was injured, had a little bit of dementia. When the doctors examined her, they found out that she was a woman and had been living as a man all of those years. When the government found out, they tried to take her soldier's pension away, but 40 years later, the men that had fought with her went to testify in front of Congress to say that no, she deserves her pension. She fought as bravely as any man. There's also another story, a letter that was written by some soldiers home about a soldier who was promoted to lieutenant for bravery on the battlefield, and the very next day gave birth to a baby boy. So not only was she serving undetected as a woman in the ranks, she was promoted while she was pregnant. So women were an important part of the war effort, many different roles, but again the focus on women soldiers and remembering what the women fought as bravely as the men did. Now near the end of the war, there were also on the southern side women who fought openly. By the end of the war, the Confederacy was low on soldiers, and so the women were actually allowed to serve openly as women. But for the most part, if a woman was found out, she would be kicked out of the ranks, but many times would go to another county, re-enlist, and under a different name, and continue to serve.
This is the box that was used by the Civil War surgeons when they had a severe amputation or injury of a finger or hand, someplace where the blood would congeal because it couldn't return to the heart, and they would actually use leeches that they transported with and kept alive with the holes in the top, and these leeches secreted lidocaine so that you couldn't feel them, and that's how come we get leeches on us that we don't know, because that anesthetic that they secrete makes it so you can't feel when they cut through your skin. And that was a good thing when they had the hematomas and the big bullets of blood they couldn't get back. They could suck it out with the leeches and then it wouldn't cause infection as much. So these were an important medical tool back then and today. We still have medical leeches that we use on some cases of amputation. And the bandages, of course, were the linen that was available at the time to wrap around the wounds. And anesthesia was the chloroform or ether most commonly, if it was available. And sometimes all they had was the laudanum, which was a combination of alcohol and opium. And of course they had other things like cathartics of castor oil that we still use today, and the other objects, even the instruments down here, you can see were bloody and left on the table from the last patient, and unfortunately they didn't know to wash, clean, and prepare them for the next patient, and sometimes the bloody instruments were used on the next patient as well. And had a terrible time with infections, obviously, accordingly. Even their suture that they used at the time was a needle with a hole in it. And they would put the sinew through that, or silk if they had it, or chromic, and use it to sew the wounds back together. So it was a primitive time, but there's an amazing survival rate considering the things that were involved in all of that they did in the Civil War.
Hi, I'm Scott Peak. I'm with the American Civil War Society. We're over here at Fairview Park in Costa Mesa. We're putting on a 2-day event for Civil War reenactment. For those of you who are interested in American history, you need to be here and come check out the stuff that we have on display. We're going to do 2 battles, Saturday and Sunday. Sunday's battles at 12:30, and we've got battles coming on at 2:30 on Sunday. We have it all here. We've had cavalry, mounted cavalry, dismounted cavalry, infantry, artillery, food to eat, all kinds of music and poetry, literature, games, all kinds of stuff. Please get over here as soon as you can. Come and enjoy the show. This is our 6th year. It's bigger and better than ever. Thank you.